Another utility is the IEBUPDTE utility. IEBUPDTE utility is rarely used these days, but it represents a batch editing mechanism that can be employed. And so in particular, what we are looking at then is we can use this utility if we needed to update a partition data set or a sequential file without using TSO-ISPF. It is restricted to record sizes of 80 bytes or less. The point being is that this was, again, primarily used around card-based systems. And again, we can also go and update individual lines or delete individual lines. Now, the ability to do this does have complications associated with it. And so this is one of the reasons why it's not being used very frequently. And of course, the ability to be able to edit data directly from ISPF basically makes a lot of this very redundant. However, where it is sometimes used is in the event that we have changes that come in from a vendor, often that might affect a vendor data set. Then usually the modification or the maintenance utilities may in fact invoke IEBUPDATE as the vehicle for maintaining those changes. We can also use this then to change the organization of a data set from sequential and partition. Again, this is rarely used for any of these purposes anymore, so these utilities are primarily for familiarity purposes rather than any expectation that they're going to receive any heavy usage anymore. The JCL requirements, again, sysprint for our message data set, sysut1 for input, sysut2 for output, and sysin for control statements. Now with IEBUPDATE, the control statements are a little bit different. They all begin with a period slash and then the particular control statement that's involved. And so as a result, what we're going to be looking at is we're going to be looking at the control statements that allow us to change members, add a new member, delete lines, renumber, and things of that sort. So essentially you can see in this case here, we would have a change, we have an add, we have a replace, we have a repro, and then we have a separate number and delete, which allows us then to operate on individual entries within a particular member. Now, most of these control statements and parameters, as I said, would be rarely used these days. So we're not going to go and discuss all of the different possibilities. Instead, I just want to present a basic option so that you can see what it looks like. And again, if you need more details or if you do need to pursue this, look in the IBM Utilities Manual, and that will provide you all the detailed explanation as well as examples on how to use this particular utility. Looking at the live demo in this case, again, what we're going to do is we're going to simply demonstrate a batch update of a partition data set. In this particular utility example, you can see that we have the IEBUPDATE coded, and in this case, the sysin dd asterisk is replaced with the dd data because what we are adding is JCL. So what we are going to be doing is that we do not have a sysut1 specified. Instead, the input is part of the control statements, and we have a parm equals new, indicating that we are not reading an input data set, but instead are adding a member to the output data set only. In this case here, you can see the control statements saying that we are adding a name called IEHList3, and then we have the JCL and the control statements that make up that member that we are adding. Notice that we are using a delimiter here of the 2 pound signs, and so when the 2 pound signs are encountered, they represent the end of the input stream. So when I submit this, in this particular case here now, again, you can see I have a return code 0. So now I can go and take a look at that particular data set. And in this case, what I want to do is I want to look at that to see whether the member was added successfully. And you can see the member is there. And now when I select it to look at it, you can see the JCL has been added in here. This is effectively what we mean when we talk about like a batch updating mechanism, where we can either add source members or we could conceivably go in and make individual line changes using this utility program.